It's Nolan.
Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Nah. Ayy, I've been waiting for something for me to snap on. Graduated from the freestyle, stay with a cap on. Black on, been in my publishing for these rap songs. Making whack nigga back off, let the cash grow. 5 in the morning, I'm up with my baby, no sleeping. Clown niggas, y'all Barnum and Bailey, I'm creeping. Got an army with me, nah, it's a Navy, so y'all better pay me like K-Dot, them arms to be waving. I had a couple brushes with devils, quiet as kelp. I'm charging for air, you boys talk under your breath. God is my witness, he with me, and he counting my steps. So anybody riding with me, y'all should double your bets. I chose W's, like Aisha Wilson out this bitch. Nigga argue about the gold, I want a Billy out that bitch. I been counting more cheese like a Philly in this shit. A verse hard white like I'm breaking down the brick. Ratchet on me like the repo man. They done brought me back to life like Encino man. Ran off with the yams like an elope man. I got dealt with the chip, I'm the Frito man. I want millions, Benzes, numbers up senses. Nigga try to count me out, now I want vengeance. 100 rat taught me how to run it back. Clemson, all I do is work in my city, I need pension. Somebody said it'd be disrespectful to rap on it. I'm by business, y'all niggas ain't got the acumen. Immaculate, I've been adamant with these savages. The flow is so extravagant, extrapolating arrogance. That ain't even drop yet. Bitch, I got plans too. Nigga wanna scrap about it, bitch, I got hands too. Y'all got a nigga twisted like a can too. I clean him out like shampoo. I pity y'all some damn fools.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody is good out there this evening. In this video, we're getting back into Kendrick Lamar news, and we've got a couple different things to get into. All right. Now, on one hand, we have a new interview that just came out with Timothy Chalamet on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmelo Anthony, where he talks about the experience of interviewing Kendrick Lamar. Of course, that was at the top of the year. It came out during the Super Bowl rollout and everything with that. And in that video, he talks about how calm Kendrick was in the midst of all of this drama with Drake, the ongoing battle talk, everybody putting out content. It was a fucking shitstorm, you know what I mean? People felt like the Gatorade commercials were aimed at Drake, antagonizing Drake, all of this different type of stuff. And, you know, there's this narrative out there that Kendrick was so energized about getting at him, and this was a whole, you know, plan and that whole thing that people have in their mind. But truthfully, Timothy's saying he was dead ass chill, like the calmest motherfucker you could probably meet. And he was astonished and baffled, like, damn, he's in the midst of all this. This is a beef. We know how dark the battle got. And he like, shit, he cool as a cucumber out there, bitch, man. What the fuck? How he doing that? And even when they was riding in that GNX, Timothy felt a little on edge, allegedly. Like, shit, it could go down at any moment. What the fuck? Because again, from the outside looking in, it seemed like it was so serious. And if you listen to DJ Head earlier in the year, there was a level of severity to the situation. You know what I mean? If you listen to Whacked Out Murals on GNX, you hear stuff like that. You know what I mean? Niggas put money in the street, Bitcoin. We heard it on 616 in LA. Niggas putting the money in the street, but you come back with no receipts. So the stakes did raise, but Kendrick's temperament, for the most part, didn't. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of all of that and Whacked Out Murals, we're also going to get into a little bit more information coming out about the GNX album and the creation of it. Remember, just about a week or two ago, we talked about Soundwave, Jack Antonoff, DJ Mustard. They had a conversation with Variety about the creation of the album. Now, we got a Rolling Stone article also delving into the creation of the album, and we're getting a little bit more info. All right? So, even with this post a year later from the release of GNX, we're still getting more information. And clearly this is getting cleared by Kendrick. They're not just coming out talking to these publications without him giving them the okay. So this is information that he's okay with us knowing, right? So we're going to get into that as well. And as much as people felt like Kendrick was creating music during or post beef, come to find out, Squabble Up was actually one of the first songs made. And they started making this album fresh off of the Big Steppers tour. So, was he really talking about Drake in that record? I don't know. First up, let's get to the interview with Timothy Chalamet, Carmelo Anthony. All right?
You interviewed Kendrick ahead of the Super Bowl last year. Like, what stuck with you with that conversation?
What stuck with me, honestly, was I feel like being a fan of sports, I look at things with an athletic background, acting that is, and I like to, not that I'm competitive, but I like to see what my peers are doing, but everything's very friendly at the end of the day when you see other actors that worship. And really my big takeaway from Kendrick, because it was during all the huge beef last year, I was just so amazed, like I was so impressed that this man who was so calm sitting next to me, and I was like, wow, he's engaged in a gladiator sport right now. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love hip hop and all this, I was sitting next to him, I was like, wow, I could not do that, you know, to be that, I don't know, like his calmness, I don't know if I'm doing a good job describing it. I was just like, I couldn't believe I couldn't believe like you could be that big at war with somebody that big and go about your life. I don't know. Just be chilling.
Stressing shit, like,
that was just unfathomable to me. Otherwise, he's somebody I grew up listening to, and I just appreciated him, you know, just getting the opportunity to do it, you know, and I joke about the white boy of the year stuff and all that, but it's a fine line to walk, you know, I want to be respectful and all the shit you're supposed to say, blah, blah, blah. But really, I'm just a fan, you know, I'm a fan of Black culture and hip hop and all of it. And how could you be, you know, a child of American culture without being influenced by it? So it's a fine line between, you know,
I mean, especially growing up in New York City, dog.
Yeah.
Like, this is the birthplace of hip hop, the birthplace of that culture.
Super diverse.
And it's like, you immersed in it.
All right. So there's that. He talks about how calm Kendrick was in the midst of all of the drama, the turmoil, the chatter, all of this shit. Just even keel, cool as fuck. You would never know what the hell going on. Which, you know, he addressed in the battle as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, you think my life is rap? I got other shit going on. I got a son to raise. You know, the whole thing. There's other clips that are going around from this interview. Timothy also talked about the fact that they did a whole, 30-minute studio interview at first that got scrapped, right? Because remember, the interview between them two was actually done in the car riding around the city. But there was a previous take that they did in studio where they had a conversation, and basically they felt like it was a little bit stiff, because basically he didn't know Kendrick didn't know him, working out the kinks, getting familiar with each other, energy, all that different type of shit. So Timothy felt like, damn, I guess this is what's going to come out. Would have loved to have gotten a little deeper. And the next day he gets a call from Kendrick like, yo, let's just ride around, play some music and vibe. So that was completely curated by Kendrick on the fly. Like, I really ain't like the conversation we had. That's not really going to be entertaining. Let's redo it. And then we ended up getting the one of them, talking about the music, going back to the old records, his favorite song from Kendrick and Section 80 and all that different type of stuff. So that was a pretty good interview. I really do wish Kendrick would sit down with some folks, just to give his current state of mind. Not even reflecting on the bullshit, honestly, but just to, get a glimpse of where he's at. Because he only really speaks through the music. And then, of course, we have his extensions, which would be his friends that are in media that speak, but they don't fully represent him. Now, again, getting back to Kendrick being so calm about everything. Remember this interview from earlier on where DJ Head said that he called Kendrick when Not Like Us came out, which turned out to be a humongous mega hit. The knockout blow for Drake, the whole shebang. Remember what he said here? I'm gonna play it.
That's literally his demeanor.
Yeah, and
Is
that's
that
crazy because
24/7?
that song is turning me up.
That's literally his demeanor. He's just like, I'll give you a tidbit. Like, even when the day that Not Like Us dropped, I called him that night and I was like, yo, you won, it's over. You know, like I was just going crazy. Like, this shit is crazy. It's over. You know, woo woo. And he's like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I knew.
Not even I knew. He was just like, yeah, for sure. He was eating food. Like
That's it.
He was eating some food. He was like, yeah, for sure. Like,
Yeah, when you know you put that work in and you already knew what it
like-
was going to do.
It wasn't like excitement.
You know,
It wasn't like, it was just, yeah, you know. I mean, I ain't gonna tell you what he said, but it was just like it was just Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean-
and so that's literally his demeanor.
Yeah.
All right. So again, we're just revisiting because now we're getting that perspective from Timothy, but others have already been giving us that same commentary. You know what I mean? And Timothy, he's not really, yeah, he loves hip hop or what have you. Think he may have even rapped in the past or did some shit like that, but he's not in this whole media onslaught perpetuating the beef or, you know, all of that different type of stuff. He got whole other shit going on in the acting world, his own life. And even he on the outside looking in is like, damn, how is he maintaining such a calm demeanor? Hit Boy shared the same sentiments, you know what I'm saying? He said Kendrick called him on the day that Not Like Us dropped, and he was praising Hit Boy's nephew on the song he dropped on the same day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't like he was just consumed in war mode or anything like that. He dropped the song. Another day at the office. Shit, let me see what Hit Boy nephew hitting on. Interesting. But let's get to this Rolling Stone piece, all right? Which is where this photo comes from. And this says how Kendrick Lamar tapped into the spirit of LA to make GNX. All right, so once again, we've got Soundwave and other key collaborators taking us inside the making of the rap superstar's latest Grammy-nominated classic. Grammy-nominated classic. Remember, that was a conversation not too long ago on whether or not GNX would be seen as a classic. Rolling Stone says it. So here they say, when Kendrick Lamar knocked out Drake with 2024 is Not Like Us, he did so with pomp and flair. It was an epic musical showdown that concluded with Lamar being crowned not just the victor of the moment, but rap's reigning ruler. And that moment made a lot of noise. But when Lamar deployed GNX several months later, he proved that being cool and calculating can be just as deadly. Once again, cool and calculating. The sixth studio album in Lamar's discog, GNX, arrived on DSPs without warning in November 2024. Widely considered a victory lap for Lamar and his camp, the project was hailed as confirmation of his kingship. It's now been nominated in a host of major categories for the 2026 Grammy Awards. It's tied to 9 total nominations, including Album of the Year, which some people are up in arms about. You know, we're not going to revisit that Grammy talk till next year, though. Fuck that. Anyway, however, according to Soundwave, Lamar's chief producer and longtime friend, GNX was in the works long before any gauntlets were thrown. The foundation for the album was laid in late 2022 and early 2023 after the LA rapper finished the first leg of his Big Steppers World Tour. So they didn't even wait till after the entire tour was completed. They started getting to it after the first leg. Speaking exclusively with Rolling Stone about the album's creation, Soundwave, who oversaw the bulk of GNX, with co-producer Jack Antonoff, recalls the first 2 songs recorded were Squabble Up and Man at the Garden. And Man at the Garden is another one of those records that feels like he's feeding off the tension of the battle, especially that last verse and the way the song ends. Tell me why you think you deserve the greatest of all time, motherfucker. Like, a lot of people felt like that was coming from the tension of the battle. But this is all pre-battle. which I find to be super dope. So he was already tapped into the frequency, you know what I'm saying? The different way that he's rapping on the album, the more menacing scowl rap, you know what I mean? Woke up looking for the broccoli, you know what I'm saying? That we hadn't heard him really digging into so much. He was already on that wave. 2022, 23. So here it states, I remember putting the sample in the MPC and chopping it up. He says of Squabble Up, for which he enlisted producer Scott Bridgeway, a master of the 808, to come up with the beat. He put his imprint into it, and it finally started to form into something, but it was way too fast. Once we slowed it down, we knew we had something special. Man at the Garden stands as one of GNX's more introspective performances. Soundwave recalls recording a song in New York with Antonov and getting rap legend Nas' blessing to interpolate his Stillmatic song One Mic on the track. Of course, we all heard that off the rip with the One Mic piece, but now it's completely confirmed. But it was Lamar's rhythm that brought it all together. It started to form into something where Dot just all of a sudden had this flow, the producer says. The flow felt so nostalgic, so personal, and we just built off of that. So they literally went and recorded this in New York and got Nas's blessing in New York. Shout out to Nas and Premier with the new album out, by the way. Getting mixed reviews, but I mostly liked it. According to Soundwave, not all of the tracks were initially intended to be full songs. Interesting. Luther, the massive SZA collaboration, started off as an interlude. Damn. Remember how big Luther is and was off of this album, by the way. And that motherfucker could have possibly just been an interlude. Woo! Take your time in the creative process, people. You just never know what's gonna pop. And took shape with help from the songwriter Inc. I got a call from our boy Soundwave. Yo, pull up on this. Inc says, we've been locked in since then. It's always good to work with people that inspire you, right? And I believe Inc wrote a lot of the parts for SZA on that record. Now, the Luther Vandross sampling cut is up for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Melodic Rap Performance at the February 1 Awards. I guess it'll be February 1st. There were no drums. It was literally me chopping the sample and Dot just humming melodies. We had the sample in the tuck forever. We just never could crack it. And we know that Soundwaves talked about that sample being something that they wanted to work on for damn near a decade. But once he hit this one specific melody, I knew that this had to be bigger. The shift in creative direction illustrated how material thought to be minor became central to GNX. Sometimes that happened with the assist of another producer. While Soundwave was the chief architect, he leaned on a secret weapon, Mustard, on tracks like Hey Now. Mustard comes through when he needs to come through, he says, and he popped up with that record. I remember instantly everybody in the room started to dance, and we never could let it go. Hey now, say now, I'm all about my yin. The Seismic TV Off, up for Best Rap Song, evolved from a single idea into a two-part composition with help from jazz virtuoso Kamasi Washington. Keep on, no man, Kamasi. Another credited producer on GNX who has worked on every Kendrick project since To Pimp a Butterfly. Kamasi replayed the string section and it just started to get bigger. It felt like I was a part of a group of people that were all very brilliant, Washington tells Rolling Stone. It felt like an honor. It felt like let me do my little part to add to it. I tried to absorb being with everybody else. I kind of have trust in Kendrick and all of them, and they got to take it to a place that's the ultimate level. Everyone knew right away that the moment in TV Off where Kendrick shouts out Mustard's name would be a fan favorite. Once everybody first heard that Mustard, the reaction was instant laughter, joy, and energy, which I must say we all felt that same mixture the first time we heard it as well, Soundwave says. And Lefty Gunplay, whose 6-word contribution to the same song is another highlight, recalls the positive vibe in the room. He says, I had a notepad and I was writing. Then Kendrick Lamar walked in the studio, came straight up to me, gave me a hug. He says, He told me that he's had his eye on me and that I'm doing my thing in Los Angeles, that I'm the missing piece of the West. Elsewhere, Whacked Out Murals, the song that opens GNX, was born out of an unexpected early morning recording session driven by Kendrick himself. Okay? So with Whacked Out Murals, we're seeing that this was completely impromptu. Woke up in the morning, basically said, nigga, get to the studio. I gotta lay some shit. Yeah, that was 100% a Kendrick moment, Soundwave notes. I think he did that at like 6 a.m. one night. I just remember being excited and getting pumped from hearing it. I wasn't even in the room when he created that. All right? So Soundwave, who's lockstep with Kendrick in the creation of this album, he wasn't even in the room when Whacked Out Murals was recorded. Kendrick just had to get some shit off his chest and niggas heard it and was like, woo. But the album's heart and soul lie in two distinct callbacks. Reincarnated is a fiery reimagining of Tupac's posthumous cut, Made Niggas, classic, while Heart Part 6 samples SWV's Use Your Heart, another classic. Shout out to Pharrell and his contribution to the original. The creation of Reincarnated required substantial reconstruction to preserve the authenticity of Tupac's original. It was difficult to navigate, Soundwave says, because of the way Made Niggas, which originally appeared on the soundtrack to the 1997 film Gang Related, is regarded as a conceptual masterpiece. Pac fans worldwide, you hear that motherfucking beat coming, boom, you nigga, it takes you to a place. I know it did for me. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that shit kick in on the album. Anyway, that's Pac. That's Gang Related soundtrack. That's a moment for us, and we didn't want to mess it up. I knew we couldn't just sample it, he says. To pay proper respect to the original, Soundwave brought in bassist Noah Ehler and pianist Matthew Mtech Bernard to record new parts. It started to feel more tailored to what we were going through, Soundwave says. Lamar and Soundwave are both proud Los Angelinos, and they give a nod to their hometown ball club on Dodger Blue, featuring Wally the Sensei, Siete 7X, and Roddy Ricch. The song, released between two World Series wins for the city, underscores GNX's themes of hometown pride and creative camaraderie. It takes a team after all. Which is also pretty fucking remarkable. You know what I'm saying? You go from Not Like Us to Dodger Blue. Back-to-back world championships. Ooh, shit. Siete notes that he was particularly proud of sharing the track with 3 other artists from the same section of the Mad City. I was proud, he says. I was smiling ear to ear, just grateful. We all from the same west side of Compton. We all from that little circle, that bubble. So that really felt good. We all come from the same place, trying to come out, make it out, and we doing it. We dedicated, we're making it happen. Okay? 2 more songs on GNX that capture the sentiment. Peekaboo featuring AZ Chike. One of the standouts of this whole piece. One of the only artists featured on the album that really embraced the moment and was prepared for the moment and took it by the reins. His album is about to drop soon as well. In the album's title track with Hitter J3, Young Threat, and Peso. Soundwave says they emphasize Lamar's desire to collaborate with intention and showcase artists he respects. That's who his character has always been, Soundwave says. He's just like, I believe in y'all. I want you guys to shine. People always try to throw, Kendrick don't work with nobody. Kendrick don't collab with nobody. Okay. These niggas sure do appreciate it. Niggas on the Black Panther soundtrack sure do appreciate it. I'm sure Rhapsody, I don't even have to say it, I'm sure. She comes out and gives him his flowers all the time for being on To Pimp a Butterfly. I ain't seen no other major rappers like that really give her the spotlight like that since then. I wonder why, but y'all want to talk about who's working with who. Anyway, Peso agrees. It was all around good vibes, he tells Rolling Stone. Everything was so natural. Conversations just flowed. We touched on certain topics with each other before even making any music for real. It was just an all-around dope experience. Kendrick is a very humble, down-to-earth individual. He definitely did his thing for the West Coast and brought out some of the rising artists, gave us a platform, a spotlight, and boosted our voice all together. Case in point, the vocal contributions throughout the album from mariachi singer Dara Barrera. Compton is a small city, but it's a big gumbo pot. My neighbors will play Juan Gabriel all day, loud, Soundwave says. That was a missing piece to us. We needed to capture the same feeling we had back then, and when she came in, it was just magical instantly. She understood, hopped in a booth, and had everybody in the room chills. But after years of studio work, sometimes into the wee hours, how did K-Dot and Soundwave know it was time for GNX to shine? It all comes down to emotion, the producer says. If I don't shed a tear by the last second of the album, it is not ready, Soundwave says. Once that last second of the last song stopped, 6 a.m. in the morning, I shed a tear. I was like, we're done. Okay? So that's just another glimpse into the creation of the GNX album, and I would not be surprised if in the coming weeks and months we continue to get more nuggets of the creative process, perhaps even getting into the lyrical inspirations of Kendrick. Maybe not. We'll just have to see. Of course, Soundwave, he can speak to the production because that's his lane of expertise, which this is a great look for him as well, because although Soundwave has been out there, he has accolades upon accolades with Kendrick, this is his moment to really shine and cement himself moving forward as well as a key player in the production world in all of hip hop and music in general. And I hope he also embraces it, just be selective on how you give out the sauce. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'll say. But yeah, there's so many bars on GNX that people felt like could have been jabs at Drake, and perhaps they still were in some form or fashion, you know what I'm saying? But the narrative has been predominantly like fresh out of the beef. He went in the studio and just, but most of the album touches on so many other things. The chip on the shoulder was the intention, was to be that abrasive West Coast vibe. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Kendrick, if you go through his discography, no album is completely like another. So I'm not surprised. Again, To Pimp a Butterfly is like side A to GNX side B. You get the classic G-Funk, P-Funk vibe there. You get the up-to-date West Coast version with that. Two sides of the same coin. Where he goes next, I would love to know, but I don't have the answers for that. But we definitely are waiting to see what else he has in his sleeve, all right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul in the